Hey everyone, and welcome to episode 146 of Brew Talk with Mr. Beer. My name is Robert Lewis. I will be your host for today's show. As always, we appreciate you guys taking time to tune in and watch our videos. Hopefully you're enjoying them. Hopefully you're learning something, find them somewhat informative. If you ever want to read what we're talking about, see our videos in a written format, we post these on our website, Mr.Beer.com. You click on the blog button there, look for the latest videos, find the text below it, or search your question for past videos and see if we will answer it. Without further ado, we will dive into today's topic, which is different ways to use hops to jazz up your brew day. That sounded kind of exciting. Hops are pretty cool. You hear all about them in home brewing, craft beer, all different kinds of hops, flavors, triple hops, dry hops, wet hops, all kinds of stuff. So I thought it would be good to go over some basic techniques that you can use to utilize hops in your brew, especially if you're wanting to kind of create your own custom recipes or, jazz something up on your brew day that you want to do. And with all of our Mr. Beer recipes that have hops, we've done this already for you. Like I said, if you're looking to create your own unique recipe, then these might be some useful tips for you. The first thing you want to consider, obviously, is the choice of hops that you're going to use. Hops are categorized by what is called alpha acids. Alpha acids are the principal component in lupulin, which is the resin of the hop cone. This is the main agent that imparts the bitter flavors into your beer. So if you're using a hop that has a high alpha acid, you'll be able to get more bitterness out of that hop than you would a hop with a lower alpha acid. If you're searching for hops, these are all listed on our website. They're on the detail page. I think anyone else that sells hops, they're pretty much ready to see on the packaging on the detail page as well. Some examples of like high alpha acid hops are Chinook, Citra, Warrior, just name a few. There's a ton of hops out there. If you're going to pick a hop that is lower in alpha acid, then those would tend to be used more for aroma hops and flavoring hops, not so much as far as the bittering hops. You can still extract some bitterness out of those, but maybe not as much bitterness as you would a high alpha acid hop. But like I said, this is all about, learning about hops to customize your own recipe. So at the end of the day, if you're like, that hop sounds cool, I want to make it for an IPA, by all means, go for it. So I think, the main way that's going to affect how the hops will impact your beer is what you do with them during the brewing process. The alpha acids definitely play a role in how much bitterness you can extract. And then also, the flavors, the aromas, all that stuff like that. But how you're going to use them is going to impact what you get from the final results. The most common way to use hops is to boil them, which is how you get bitterness out of your brew. If you do not boil your hops, you will not get any bitterness out of there. And they can be added, at Whirlpool, which is a flame out or stuff like that. They'll still get some bitterness, but if you're like dry hopping, you'll get no bitterness out of that at all. So a few things to consider when doing your hop boil. The first thing is the size of the boil will impact the amount of bitterness that you can extract from your hops. So if your boil is closer to your actual finished batch size, then you can get more bitterness out of your brew. If you're doing a very small boil volume, you might need to use more hops to get more bitterness out of your brew. If you brew any of our recipes, you'll know some will have you boil water and, it might be 2 cups, some might be 8 cups, which is a gallon. Just depends on how much bitterness we're trying to get out of there. But if you've brewed with us for a while, you'll notice our recipes are always a little different with what your initial boil volume is. That's because we want to impact the amount of bitterness that you're getting out of those hops, which will impact your final brew. The second part about boiling hops is the temperature and the duration. So the longer you do a hop boil, the more bitterness you will get out of your beer. A shorter boil will result in less bitterness. So, for example, doing a hop schedule can also bring out different traits and flavors of those hops. So for example, just how some of our recipes work, let's say you're going to boil 1 ounce of hops for 45 minutes, then 20 minutes into that boil, you're going to boil another ounce of hops for the remainder, then 35 minutes and you're going to boil another hops for the last 10 minutes of that boil. Each of those hops are going to extract different flavors and different bitterness during those time periods of those shorter boils. Some of our recipes call for like 90-minute boils and stuff like that, these really bitter IPAs. So there's a lot of range you can do there, but the longer you boil, the more bitterness you will get out of your hops. Sorry, lost my spot for a second. Hop schedule, yeah. So one way to obviously stop the boil is you want to chill your wort very quickly. So that's why when anything we're brewing with, once you're done boiling, you take your pot off heat, you add it into your cold water with all of our Mr. Beer ingredients or all of our recipes, because that's what chills it. and that's what stops those hops from, keep impacting those bitter flavors into your beer. You can also do like an ice bath or something like that as well. But if your water temperature with the hops remains between 185 and 210, the hops are still going to impact bitter flavors into your beer. So once you're done with your boil, you just want to chill that wort as quickly as you can, either by pouring it into cold water into your fermenter, dunking into an ice bath, just the pot, not anything like that, and that will stop the bitterness. So once you're done with the hop boil, then you can continue on with your brewing process from there. I think the last main way to use hops is very popular. It's called dry hopping, which I mentioned earlier. So this is done after the beer has started to ferment. And dry hopping doesn't add very little bitter. I mean, there's some studies that does, but I don't think it adds any bitterness to your beer. It's more for flavor and aroma, especially aromas, the later you dry hop in your fermentation process. So doing late stage dry hopping can have a profound impact on kind of the smells and some of the tastes that you get out of your beer. You can definitely smell some of those hops when you're dry hopping at the end. So it depends. Usually you can dry hop. I mean, it varies on the recipes. Like I said, if you really want to dry hop for aroma, maybe do it 4 to 5, 6 days before you bottle. 3 days before you bottle, you're going to get a lot of aroma out of those hops. So it's going to wrap it up. Like I said, to recap real quick. So hops, higher alpha acids means more bitterness, lower means less bitterness. The way to extract bitterness is to boil them. Boil batch size will impact that. Bigger batch size boil, more bitterness, and longer boiling times, more bitterness. If you're looking for flavor and aroma, you want to dry hop. But at the end of the day, those are the ways you can use to kind of take hops and mess with your beer. And then you can pick whatever hops you want. We have some that we recommend, stuff like that. If you have any questions about what hops to use, contact our customer service team. They would be glad to help you guys out. That will wrap it up for this week. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video and learned something. If you want to watch the rest of our videos, like I said, those are all on YouTube, or you can find us on our website. If you want to learn more about Mr. Beer, hang out with fellow Mr. Beer brewers, you can join our Facebook group, which is just Mr. Beer's Brewing Society on Facebook. That will wrap it up for today's video, and I will talk to you guys next time. Cheers. Cheers.